Nighttime lusting, but you scared to fall. So saddle up and brace yourself, cause I'm gonna give it all. Go ahead, mama, lift it up. Front on D&D, don't want no interruptions. Joey casting over the art of seduction. And you gon' reach your peak if you follow instructions. Baby, just trust, yeah. Put your tongue on my tongue and speak the same language. Come star in this movie, I can make you famous. Kissing on your neck as you take off your necklace. And now the only thing we got on, baby, is his name.
94 Feet with Coach JT. What up, man? That song right there is called Only by Joe, man. Young fella out of Sacramento. Beat made by another kid from Sacramento, Chimchilla. I'm highlighting dope artists, man. So please send your music my way, man. Doing the contest ends next Sunday. I want to highlight local artists or artists anywhere around the world. And just give them some shout out, some love, but also I'm looking for a track for the show. I'm looking to start my show. I need to put a commercial together, a little pre-show commercial, because we finna get it in right now, man. So subscribe. Don't forget that, man. Leave me a like, a comment. Let me know what you think as I continue to grow and just develop this podcast. Today, man, my guest today was born in Chicago. Moved to California at the age of 12 years old. She knew that performing arts was her true passion. Beginning performing arts since numerous of stages, right? So she's been on musicals, she's been in plays, a ton of other things. She's appeared in numerous film projects and countless commercials and national print ads. Also a devoted wife and mother. Especially a big, strong, powerful advocate for students and youth in learning disabilities, ages elementary school through high school. She believes that to whom much is given, much is required. And so no wonder with that witty personality that captivates all the audiences she's in front of. I've seen it for myself personally for the last few years. It's transparent from the TV shows, stages, everywhere she goes. And she actually doesn't even need a microphone. If you give her a microphone, she's still going to do the damn thing. Neketia Henry, thanks for coming on the show tonight. Thanks for joining me.
JT, thank you for having me. I'm excited. I'm loving this studio, man.
That's what's up, man. Yes. Shout out to 360 Studio, DJ Eddie and Justin back there on the ones and twos. A lot of props, man. Like I said, every time we come in here, we add something to the mix. Like I said, the intro's next, man. So send me your music.
Y'all better tap in, Sacktown.
Lock in, man. That song was by, it's called Only by Joe and Chimchilla on the beats. Neketia. So had the pleasure of knowing you for, like we talked about offline, man, over 20 years now.
That's crazy. And I feel hella old now that you just
right.
said that.
Hey, like I said, I'm like, man, I got the 4-0 coming up this month in July for myself, and I met your sons when I was 23 years old, maybe.
Yeah. So X was my youngest was 4.
Yeah.
He's about to be 20 now.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Boys and Girls Club of America, man. Lemon Hill, man. Those was the days. Shout out to Lemon Hill, man.
Yeah.
I ran that gym. Let's get into you a little bit though, from Chi-Town. So even a little bit Chicago, man. Let's tell us a little bit about just growing up in Chicago as a young lady going to Chicago.
You know what? Chi-Town, it just, one word that kind of relates to me with Chicago is just family. You know, I moved to California with my mom when I was 12. So I spent the majority of my time here in sunny California. I do love California, but Chi-Town is just like home. You know, when I see the Navy Pier and downtown and Millennium Park, it's like all of those Harold's Chicken, like all of that is just home. Memories. And it's nostalgic, you know. But yeah, no, Chi-Town, and I still have a lot of family there. Nice. So shout out to my family in the Chi. But yeah, I love Chicago.
Chi-Town.
The weather, not so much.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Chi-Town, some good people in Chicago, man. I met some good people in college that from Chicago. I actually played up there too. But yeah, different good people. Good people in Chi-Town, man. No matter what's going on in the world, what they say different, you know, good people in Chicago. So you get to Cali though. Even that as a 12-year-old, so you're pretty older. What was that transition like for you leaving? Because you're not a state over.
No. That was tough. I cried. I was upset with my mom, you know, because at that age it's pivotal, right? You preteen, right? Yeah, preteen. I had all my friends. So back on the the Midwest and East Coast and Southeast, sixth grade. I was in sixth grade at the time, but that's middle school. Right. So I was already in middle school. So when I transitioned here to California, I reverted back to elementary school, which was the craziest thing. So anyway, I had an attitude with my mom. I'll never forget. We actually moved here on a train. We were on a train ride. For 3 days, and ride. I think I cried all 3 days.
It's a long ride.
But as a kid, we don't know anything. We don't know adult situations. We don't care about all that. All we care about is just friends and social life. Yep. And, so anyway, transitioning here, it wasn't the best. I was ironically a little shy coming here.
It's ironic.
It's hard to believe now, but yeah, I was a little shy.
That's what's up. You get in Sacktown. What part of town do you settle in initially?
Yeah, so when we first moved here, we stayed with my auntie, and we were in Natomas. Okay. Right there on Truxell. It used to be at Albertsons right there.
I was going to say, so that was when that number of fields out there in the grocery store probably, right? In Arco Arena.
Yep.
R.I.P. Arco, right? That was it. Arco Arena at the time, probably that was it, right? Because it was nothing out there. That seemed so far away from the South Sacramento.
Oh my gosh. Vice versa, yeah. No, it was. And so we stayed with her, and then eventually my mom had got remarried, so we relocated to Elk Grove, but I was still going to Natomas Junior High. And then that was my 7th grade year. So 8th grade year is when I transferred schools, and that's when Jackman was brand new. Oh. So actually, I just got to go and put it out there for all the first graduating class of Jackman Middle School. Yes.
That's what's up. Man, you went from the north to the south. To South Sac Valley High, for real. Even that transition, cool right off the bat. Did you jump right in and make friends, or what was that like?
Yeah, at that point, I was kind of used to California, the way that everybody talked. I wasn't saying pop no more because everybody here was saying soda. I'm like, soda? You guys talk so white,
Yeah, definitely different. Proper. Soda, talk so proper, right?
Yeah. So I got used to the way of life here, and so I didn't really have a lot of friends when I transferred to Jackman, obviously because I was out in Natomas. But I made friends fairly quickly because I kind of just picked up on the whole California vibe, and I was like, okay, this is good. Yeah,
that's what's up. So in your current roles that you do now, though, but how early on did you start entertaining the fact of acting, doing plays, was that something also for kids or young ladies? They may do that early in age, right? When did that become something that you had even just fun? I'm not sure, was it a love early, or was it like just fun early on?
It was both. And I wish I had my cousins here from Chicago because they would tell you all about it.
You was the party.
I used to force my family. So I have another cousin that sings. Shout out to Lucky Caramel and Chi-Town. But we used to make our other cousins sit through talent shows.
Oh, yeah.
And so he was always singing and dancing, but I couldn't really sing. I couldn't really dance. I was a tall, skinny, awkward girl, but I was always acting out movies and rehearsing lines and doing famous lines from movies. Back then it was Pee-wee's Big Adventure, so just like all the big famous movie lines. And so from an early age, and I used to love oh my gosh, I always recited I love like old gangster movies. You know what I'm saying? Like I just it from sun up to sundown, it didn't matter what it was. I was just always reciting lines, and I realized I want to do this. Like for real, I want to do this.
My grandpa used to call them shoot 'em. Well, the westerns or the movie shoot 'em ups. My grandma, you watch them shoot 'em ups? It's just a whole bunch of action. I don't know. But always the slogans of what they say was like, "Ooh, somebody about to die," or somebody.
Well, my movie was Harlem Nights.
Oh, so
from beginning to end.
All I think about is Pinky Toe scene every time. It's a classic though, right? But also putting yourself in that mind frame. There's a lot of all black actors, male and female though, with important roles. Like it was a dope movie. Yeah, and even now, so I think I realize more the value of that movie now
than before. Well, we couldn't appreciate it back then.
Yeah, for sure. So, and you know how you have gentlemen grew up playing the sports and practice trainings, all that stuff. So let's flip this question to you as far as how often were you making them sit through your segments and your shows? How often did you guys do this?
Well, are you talking about
you performing for your cousins? Like how often?
For my cousins.
How often was that?
This was all the time because at one point we had all lived together, and so I'm talking daily. this was something that was happening on a daily basis because it was just whatever was going on. I just wanted to perform.
Right.
I love to see emotion out of people, and whether it was laughter, whether it was like sadness, tears, it didn't matter. I just love to perform and bring out emotion in people.
Yeah. At that time, outside of Harlem Nights or anybody in Harlem Nights that you may have looked at or mimicked or wanted to be like growing up?
Well, the characters were off the hook in that movie, so I can't really say I wanted to mimic any of them.
Yeah.
But I think in real life, real time, seeing Eddie Murphy and seeing all of the actors in there, like you said, they were Black, people of color, for the whole entire, the main principal actors were all Black. I think I just wanted to mimic their real life as far as being able to entertain, perform, and get paid to do it. Like what?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's definitely dope. So this entertainment in middle school, any stories or something of things going wrong and going bad trying to entertain people?
Yeah, I do have a story gone wrong. So I don't know why, I do not know why, but Jackman Middle School let me sing at our 8th grade graduation.
Oh, the graduation.
And I thought I could sing back then. And not only did I sing, but I sang a Mariah Carey.
Oh, so you had to go a couple octaves up. Or tried to.
Vision of Love. That was the song.
Tried to hit it.
And so, I don't remember exactly everything from that moment, but you know how Eminem says you got to just lose yourself in the moment. So if you want it, you got to let it go. Yeah. I just had to let it go. I don't know how the notes were sounding, but I let it go, and that was all she wrote.
That's what's up. That's funny. At the time, though, as far as mom, or she was in tune with your performing, or what was that like? Was it a connection there, or was kind of you on by yourself, or she kind of knew like, oh, this is what?
Well, my mom always had me perform. Like I was always in on a dance team, and I was on a jazz dance team, and I think I tried ballet, and I was always playing sports, but I don't think I really shared with her really until high school, the latter part of high school, that I really was interested in acting. Yeah, it was just more so all the other, I mean, I hate to say foo-foo stuff, but for me it was foo-foo because I didn't really care about it, but she had me in it. Yeah.
For sure. You mentioned sports though. What other sports did you take part in?
So I played softball and basketball. And the true story with basketball is I did not start playing basketball until I got cut from the freshman team.
Hey, I did too.
And I didn't start playing at Valley High School, so I didn't start playing until my sophomore year. Okay. But I only played basketball because I was recruited because of my height.
Right.
So needless to say, I was not as coordinated as I should have been. And back in them days, bloomer. Well, late bloomer. And back in those days, basketball is totally different now. So back in those days, I was about 5'10", and back in 5'10", the girls, we didn't know there was no dribbling. Oh no, we were just centers. Power forwards, maybe if you had somebody over 6 feet on the team, right? But for the most part, you're gonna be a center.
That's your role.
That's your role. That's it, and that's all. Rebound, right? Rebound, box
block
out,
a shot, rebound.
Block some shots, maybe get a couple steals if you can. But basketball I tell everybody I was just a defensive player.
Yeah, hey, you embraced that role.
Yeah, but I was not, and I had butterfingers. For some reason, I could never catch the ball. My family teases me, even my husband, they always tease me because I would call for the ball and my family would be like, no. Okay.
Not her. No. Yeah,
but softball, I was actually a lot better in softball. I got a full ride scholarship to Southern University. Yeah, for softball.
Did you play at Valley too?
I did, all 4 years.
How was your seasons over there?
The seasons were great. We had Coach Ray Rushton. He actually passed away not too long ago. Sheree and Raven's dad. And, he was an amazing coach, an amazing mentor to us. And he got all of us full ride scholarships that year.
So y'all must have won a lot of games too, though.
We did. Because we were really good. Yeah, our softball team, we were, and this was before There was no Consumnes Oaks. There were, Laguna was brand new. Sheldon was brand new, but it was just us. Valley, Florin, Elk Grove, Laguna, and Sheldon.
That's it. That's what's up. So what are some things that he taught you or your team that you stick with you today that you learned from that sports environment, that sports process, practicing, all that stuff?
Yeah.
Teamwork. What are some things that stick with you that you learned from back then?
I think the main life value that Coach Rushton taught us is whatever you put in is what you're going to get out.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. And there were times where we felt like we played our what's off. Like we were like, oh my God, we did that. We had a bomb game. And he would sit after the game and talk to us and he'd be like, y'all played like crap dookie. And we like, what? Did you just see what we did out here? Yeah. Very, very high expectations and not settling, because we could have beat the team by, 5 or 6, but maybe it was a sorry team.
He wasn't, yeah.
Right. So he's not satisfied with that. He's like, why are y'all satisfied with this? So nice. What you put in is what you get out. That's
definitely, I love it. I love it. Right. Cause you got to put the work in, you got to sacrifice. You guys all had to do that. And then Valley in a lot of sports was the same way with those football teams.
Yeah, we were dominant in the 90s.
It was
the sports program today, Lord Jesus. Yeah. But no, back in the 90s, Valley was dominant.
They trying to get it going over there. Even my boys, Coach Terrell, they won the league last year. They trying to do it again. Like it's up and down, but he's worked though. He's invested, and so I know the other teams are trying to get on board. So, but as you know, right, those other schools start taking the kids.
Well, they took
it makes
the
it
kids.
tough, right?
Very
it
tough.
Was low, it's low, especially everybody moves further and further south. So, you talked about let's talk about the challenge though. What challenge though? Because we talk about this on every show, even at that time as a high school. You guys are winning, right? But anything come up where you even thought about like, okay, this is super hard, or I may not want to do this anymore during that period of time?
Yeah, I think my teenage years for me. So, some people know this, but a lot of people don't know this. I am a type 1 diabetic. I've been on insulin since I was 10 years old. And so, the teenage years, early on when I was a child, my mom was managing that. She was in control of that. And that was my way of life. So that's what it was. But as I started going into my teenage years and through high school, I didn't want to have to leave our lunch group to go to the nurse's office to have to take a shot. And you know what I mean? So it started being quote unquote uncool for me. It wasn't that anybody else made me feel that way. It was me in my own mental space, trying to manage diabetes and being a diabetic and, just being pissed off because I didn't want to have to deal with it anymore, So, and then on top of that, playing sports and trying to keep blood sugars up. So I think for me, managing diabetes was very challenging, more so emotionally and mentally for me. So there were times where I just stopped. I didn't check my sugar. I didn't go to the nurse's office at lunchtime, because back then we could leave campus to go get lunch. I would leave, go get McDonald's, come back and not even take no insulin. So for those who know about diabetes, you already know my sugars were probably in the 400s and 500s. Okay. And then sitting in class feeling woozy and not feeling well. But
so you're going through a lot of factors during that time. Anybody there also help you get on track or push through that while you're doing it?
Yeah, my closest friends, because they knew because a lot of friends I had since Jackman. Okay, we all went to Valley. They knew what was up. They knew the signs. If I was looking a little glossy eye, like Keisha, what Keisha? What is going on?
Potentially though, you're really risking a lot doing, not doing that. But okay, yeah. That's what's up. Okay.
And I think the thing was too, nobody made me feel handicapped or, like it was me in my own head and really rebellion. It's the teenage hormones and not wanting to deal with none of that crap.
Yeah. So you talk about going to Southern. Did you take that scholarship and go down there?
Yes. So it was short-lived. Right, like the head go.
Yeah, because that SWAC life is different down there. Man.
Well, it's very different. I will say, look, I don't even know where to start. So when I got the scholarship, when I left for school, I actually already had one of my close girlfriends Tashika. She was already down there.
Okay.
She graduated from Valley a year before me. And so she already had all the friends. It was kind of already, I had it made. It was already set up for me when I got there. But I got an opportunity. I played a little bit. We had preseason. I got to play Grambling and all of that. Yeah. So came home Christmas break. And at the time I saw my boyfriend, who was now my ex-husband, but I came home Christmas break, saw him, went back to school. Okay. Everything's good. About a month later, there were changes happening. Gotcha. I'm like, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, needless to say, I found out I was pregnant. Yeah. And so now, mind you, at this time, I'm almost 19, so 18, right? Yeah. So from August, I was there at Southern from August through April. I came home in April because I started with I just started getting sick and it just wasn't good. So I had to, and I don't know why, y'all, but I thought I was going to be able to hide it from the coach. When you a guy, you can hide the fact that you got somebody pregnant. Sure. But when you a female, it's like, ain't no hiding that. And I don't know why I thought I could hide it. Right. And then, we got snitches on the team because, people can't wait to take your spot. That's how that goes.
Yeah, true.
So I never forget, I went to practice one day and Coach Marshall, she pulled me aside and she was like, so Keisha, what is this? And she was very firm. They don't play,
blunt,
down
straightforward.
South. Yeah. She was like, what is this? I hear you pregnant. And I was like, my first question was, who told you? Yeah. Not even wanting to deal with that situation. Yeah. That don't even matter.
I ain't gonna answer that. This. Right. Who told on me?
So anyway, we had a long talk and I honestly, I wanted to write it out and stay as long as I could, but my health at that time, it just wasn't the best and it was new for me and shocking, I'm sure, for my body. So physically, after talking to my mom and stuff, I made the decision to come home. But I will say, I have no regrets, because life will throw things at you. And, I'm going to keep it real. I'm going to keep it 100 and be completely transparent. I went to an abortion clinic. I was going to get an abortion, because here I am, 18, full ride scholarship.
You on that line, right? Which way is
I have tough. No money. I live with my parents. My boyfriend at the time, he didn't have any money. What are we going to do with a baby? Right. I'm about to look. I'm like, there's a million reasons why we should not continue down this road. And I'll never forget my girlfriend. She took me to the abortion clinic. And when we pulled up, it was like you see on the movies. People were out there protesting. It was like this little shady looking building, the protesters were out there protesting. And right before I walked in the door, I remember it like it was yesterday. This lady said, wait a minute, look at me. And something about her voice just grabbed me. I turned around and looked at her. And she said, you don't have to do this. God loves you and your baby. You do not have to do this. And I started crying and I proceeded to walk in. And so, my girlfriend had left and I'm sitting there and, I was terrified because I hadn't even talked to my mom. The only person I knew was my girlfriend and my ex, my ex-husband now. And so I'm sitting there and a million things are going through my mind. So they show you these videos of the actual process. That right there, that was it. Plus that lady's voice, she planted the seed already.
She put it in there.
And when I saw the video of the process and what actually happens, I'm like, I have a million reasons probably to do this, but I can't do it. Right. I cannot do it. And so anyway, long story short, I have my wonderful, beautiful son, Isaiah Brown, who is about to be 23. And that is my testimony. But I am happy I got that chance and that experience to go away. I went to an HBCU. Yeah. I had my sweet mates. We went, to the Bayou Classic. Yeah. I had that experience.
Nothing like it. Nothing like regrets. It. That's the one thing about California. You won't be able to get that till you go down there.
No. And I really had to keep myself under control because my parents were really strict. Yeah. So when I left and went to an all-black school, and I'm like, what we talking?
You from Cali? Well, Chicago by way of California. I know they was Okay,
Right.
yeah, and yeah, you from
Right.
California?
Well,
Okay,
yeah, and they
we see you,
think we
Cali.
are.
We see you, Cali. You get a nickname as soon as you come down there. That's
Right.
what's up.
My nickname was Shawty.
See, there you go. They
Shawty.
give
That is
you one.
Shawty. Yeah.
They give you one for sure. That's what's
Mhm.
up. So in that process, coming back home, having the first young man, but also at what point do you get invested, or what's the career going after that happens? Now, what are you doing career wise for yourself at that point?
Yeah. So at that point, I already, even when I was away at school, I picked, I don't know why, I picked political science
major in?
as my major. I just picked something because what I wanted to do was act.
Right.
But, back in our day, our parents, that was not a serious major. That's not something you get a degree in. That's not something that's going to get you through the corporate world.
Okay.
So you better figure out something else, kind of thing.
So the next best thing is the hardest one, political science. Probably,
yeah, I didn't even care about politics. I don't know why I picked political science. Yeah. I think it was like eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Okay, boom, political science. There we go. But when I came back home, at that point, I wasn't even thinking about acting. I mean, life had completely changed, and I actually, we ended up getting married, and so I had a family life. I wasn't thinking about acting. Mm-hmm. Even though times were a lot easier, rent was only $625. Let me say that again. Rent was only $625.
Everybody's like, sign me up right now.
Oh my gosh! But yeah, I put acting way, way, way back on the back burner because I was in no position, and I had a new baby, a new husband at that time, and I was like, okay, this is life.
But was that torch, that flame, still somewhere in there?
It was on the back burner. Uh-huh. It never went out. Right. It was burning, but it was on the back burner.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, just being a young lady coming home, going through that, just who else, or actually once you came home and parents found out, what did your support team look like at that point? Because as we know, and I try to talk on here and other shows, as you know now, mental health is even a bigger platform. Oh, yeah. But just we probably saw it back then, but didn't know who were those torches or those people who pushed us. Mm-hmm. What was that support circle like for you, making a transition from college, now I'm doing a parent, and I'm trying to figure out my next move though? What was the support system for you?
Support system? My mama.
Always there.
I had my bonus dad in my life, but my mom was my everything. Like I'll never forget, even when I touched back down to Sacramento from Baton Rouge, I got off the plane.
She was waiting.
And it was like, you remember on The Color Purple at the end where Celie is
running to
yeah. That's exactly how I was running to my mom. And back then, that's when we could still go.
Yeah, you go up there and
I ran to my mom, and I don't think I let go for I felt like I hadn't seen her in years, and it had only been months. Yeah. But yeah, it definitely, my mom, she got me through those trying times and let me know that, this is not, everybody makes bad decisions or not the best decisions, but this doesn't have to be a lifelong mistake. You see what I'm saying? But, there's a difference.
And
there's a difference. Yeah. We all gonna make bad decisions.
But when it's articulated like that, it makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
Okay, I can.
Yeah, it's only a mistake if you don't learn from it or you continue in those same patterns or thought processes.
So, shout out to moms. Always there.
I
always
love
present.
You,
always present. Always present around supporting.
Yeah.
At
no
games,
matter
events,
what.
She's there. She's still on the move. We're gonna get into this. The next stage, right? Or when you get back and get your feet back wet. Because eventually something goes off again or gets you back in the area, the atmosphere or the headspace of no, I'm gonna try this again.
Right.
Where were you at in your life when that point started? Because you had to again probably start from almost ground zero.
Yeah, it was definitely starting from ground zero. So after I had Xavier, my youngest son, after I had him, I said, you know what? I was a stay-at-home mom, so I was blessed in the fact that I didn't have to work at that point. I was a stay-at-home mom, but I was like, I love my kids, but this ain't it. This cannot just be it. And so we talked about that being on the back burner, but the flame never really going out. So I'm like, you know what? Let me just go on and move this back to the front burner again and see what that's going to look like. So I remember I didn't really know what to sign up for and what to do. So I had signed up for a couple of acting classes at CRC.
Okay.
And, I took those classes, and then from there, I made a couple of connections. And so I started doing community theater. So I was doing community theater, but I was also at that time, I was going to Calvary Christian Center. Shout out to Pastor Godot. I was going to Calvary Christian Center, and we had a very big theater arts ministry. Cool. And I'm not talking like little church plays. These were like full on productions with lights and effects. And so between doing the community theater and the theater arts ministry, that's where I really got the passion back. Like, that's where the fire was like, okay, it's lit now. Okay. Now, where do we go from here?
So getting back into that, emotion says fire's lit. How are you able to manage, how are you managing the two, being a mom and now really this flame is going again, now trying to balance or do both at a high pace or a high level?
Yeah. I wasn't really doing it at a high level back then. Like I said, I was still trying to learn the business. I was, figuring out what the proper headshots were supposed to be and look like. And back then the headshots were still black and white. So that's how long ago this was. But yeah, it was just, my mom obviously would help me. And at that time, my ex-husband at the time, he was, supportive in that. And so, I would audition here and there. I did get an agent. And so once I got an agent, I would start going on audition. So I really just started learning the process of actually being in show business outside of, community theater and local stuff, but more on a regional and or national level.
That's what's up. So putting time in, I mean, just like you said, sports family, sports background. Now, that time, people say you got to get in front of the mirror. Who are you practicing in front of, or how much on your own were you doing it, knowing that you wanted to get a lead role or star in a play or get a call from somebody? What was the practice like for you?
Oh, I was making there just like when I was a kid. I was forcing everybody to sit down.
Like, here we go again.
So here we go again. So I would have auditions, and if I had to have readers, at that time it was usually my ex-husband at the time, but I would have readers, or I would make family members sit down, my cousins. Okay, I need y'all to listen to this, So they always had a smile on their face. I don't know if that's how they really felt on the inside.
We smiled,
but they don't make the funk. Right. I know they were like, well, somebody please get this girl the role, because she is getting on our damn nerves about now.
How hard is it being a Black female, an actor, period, though, to get, even any role, though, because I know it's processed. You get the headshots, if you agent, paperwork, whatever documents. Just how hard is it to get something decent? Not just some people get extras, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But how hard is it to get something, even like on a decent level, even an Old Navy ad, something like that? How hard is that process?
Well, it's different difficulty levels depending on who you are, right? So I think generally speaking, in today's age, I feel like it's a lot harder because of social media.
It's harder.
It's harder. I think it's harder because of social media. You have a ton of influencers on there. And so, in this case in point, when you see these reality shows and you see, a lot of the lower budget movies and shows, which are fine. I have no problem with independent projects. I've been a part of quite a few of them. But when you see these shows and then you see, certain influencers who get the role over actual actors who have been trained and this is their true profession, but because they have a blue check mark on Instagram for selling beauty reels, it becomes a little discouraging sometimes. Because we've transitioned. Like back in the day, it was strictly about talent. All the casting directors and agents had was your headshot, and then they brought you in person to do an audition. Well, now, it's all about reels and everything, but it's really about popularity. A lot of times casting directors, they're going to your IG profiles and they're looking at a lot of people are looking at how popular you are
Right.
and not necessarily the talent.
Right.
You
Because the
know,
popularity could bring you numbers, which brings money, which brings sales for
Yeah.
them. So, right.
So they will take in, and I'm not saying influencers can be actors. I mean, I believe in being a Jack and Jill of all trades. So I don't want what I'm saying to be misconstrued.
Right.
But there are some people who should not be in the acting lane, should not be getting the roles that they're getting, but they're
Based on the
getting them
following, the
because they're
volume of people.
popular.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely that. Okay. I understand. So at what point or when did you maybe get that one where you said, or how hard was it to get that first role where you said, I've made it, or this is it? How long did it take to get there, and how hard was it?
I'm still trying to get there.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I definitely have not arrived. I know what my skill set is. I know what my potential is. And it's really a work in progress, and everybody's journey is so different, so whether it takes me another 5 years or whether it takes me another 5 months, I don't know, but I'm going to keep putting everything in it that I got. Like Coach Russian said, what you put in it is what you're going to get out of it, And so, yeah, I definitely haven't arrived yet, but I will say my proudest, I have two proudest moments. Okay. So my first proudest moment was back in 2004. I was going through a divorce, and this is when I was really like tapping in, like tap in. I was really tapping in to, being an actress and being about that life. And I got cast in an independent film as the lead. And that was my first lead role in anything, other than a play. That was my first lead role. And so not only that, it paid really good, nice. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And we shot it here in Sacramento. So that was my first lead role. And shout out to Wes Carter. We are still like brother and sister, longtime friends. He's a writer, director. He's been in the game a long time. But he cast him in my first leading role. And I really hadn't done any other film other than that. And I was cast as a lead in my very first film that I auditioned for. So that I was really excited about that. And that let me know, okay, this is definitely what I'm supposed to be doing. I think my second biggest moment was when I booked my first national commercial last year.
Great.
Was super exciting. I booked a commercial for NBA 2K.
Oh,
and that aired during the holidays. So everybody that was texting me and screenshoting me saying they saw it, that was really exciting. Yeah,
That's
but I haven't arrived. So let that be clear.
Staying consistent, working hard.
Yeah, you got to remain humble.
Go Google it, YouTube, whatever. Find it on there.
Yeah, it's on there.
Doing voiceovers and things like that. How fun is that for you?
You know what? Voiceovers are exciting too. I think that was, I should say I have more than two big moments. I do love voiceovers. I didn't really start getting into voiceovers until a couple of years ago. My agent had sent me the first voiceover I auditioned for. She sent me for Doug Days. It's a Disney Pixar project that's out now on Disney Plus.
Find it, you guys. Doug Days.
This was during COVID. She sent me the audition, and at that time, I didn't even have a home studio set up or anything. Nice. I literally just used my phone recorder on my awesome Android.
Nice. Set it up, man.
For all the iPhone users.
That's funny.
I literally, and my husband, Gino, shout out to Gino, he read the lines with me.
Dope.
And so we did that audition. I sent it in, and a couple of weeks went by, and Gino was like, babe, did you hear anything? I was like, no, not yet. And I try not to get overzealous. I try to audition, commit to my choice, and just let it go and move on to the next, but this one, I'm not going to lie, had me a little on edge. I'm like, this is Disney,
That's dope.
So anyway, long story short, I got the call that I booked it. And yeah, so the project is out. It's been out since October. It's on Disney Plus. Doug Days, I'm in episode 2 as the neighbor. It's a continuation of the movie Up.
Nice. Make sure you gotta check that out. Family sports. We're going to switch over something.
Yeah.
The family. Brother basketball, sister basketball, and coach. How's the household? Because I gotta talk about that because you got a lot of athletes, a lot of sport.
Oh my gosh,
how's
competitive.
Those? Yeah. Is it intense or what?
Yeah. My family can't do anything without being competitive.
Because I see y'all
towards
karaoke
one
nights
another.
over there. I'm like, it's going down over her crib. Who's gonna win or who's the
Oh
best
my gosh,
performance?
but don't let it be so. I'm gonna tell you what's so fun and interesting that I love about my family that you don't see often. My mom, first of all, my mama, she got young Jean. She just turned 67. She knows basketball at the high school, college, and pro level like nobody's business.
Yeah, of course.
She goes toe to toe with Isaiah and Xavier. They get into arguments. So my mom can't stand LeBron James, right? And Isaiah and X, they get into it, but she's spitting facts. She hangs with them. So yeah, what it's like for us, sports, it's all bad because everybody gets into it with their different opinions, and it's fun.
Yeah, I can see.
It's very, very, very competitive. Yeah,
that's what's up. Just the support overall for each other and the kids. As a family, how does that make everybody feel? Because if it's you, if it's this brother, if it's your sons, everybody's together pushing or signs up, man. You doing an announcement at the game. I'm like,
yeah,
man, she got a tie up, man. She everywhere. I see at the game. I'm like, she's everywhere, but it's supporting the family.
Yeah.
How strong a bond do you guys have together as a unit?
Yeah, as a unit, definitely unbreakable. You know, our family, immediate and outside. You know, we've experienced a lot together. You know, and there's two things that always bring us together. God keeps us together as a family, obviously, but the two things that always brings us together are food and sports. Literally, you know, and we live for sports. And, you know, speaking of the announcing for the games, I just really wish we can get 2020 back. I wish we could just do away like everybody else with COVID. And Sheldon, the class of 2020, Sheldon can beat Sierra Canyon. Can we got robbed. Oh my God, we got robbed.
It was definitely trying times for everybody.
It was so trying, and it was very emotional. I think it was more emotional I think I cried more than X.
Yeah. But also the effort you put out there, and speaking of, right, just advocating for all the students, not just that team, but all players or students who weren't opportunity to play though, but just that's another realm kind of, where did that, outside of being your son's opportunity, but other kids, because I see you would do the same for others, stepping up and advocating for others. Where did that come from? Because that's something where you have to be bold, factual.
Yes.
You said
outspoken.
Yeah.
All of that and then some. So that actually started for me at home. Okay. So both Isaiah and Xavier were on IEPs. They were both student athletes and had IEPs. Isaiah, at an earlier age, he was on an IEP and he got put on one in fourth grade. And at that time, I was in my 20s. I didn't even know what they were talking about. I didn't know what an IEP was. They told me they tested him. He needed one, and I just signed on the dotted line.
What services or resources it wasn't given?
I didn't know any of that. I mean, they go over all that stuff, but that's like sitting in a Spanish class and you speak French. I mean, it's, you know. So, and then X got, he during 7th grade. So I really learned how the school districts drop the ball on a lot of the students with learning disabilities. They drop the ball on them over and over again because parents don't know their rights. They don't know the laws. They don't know how to advocate. And it's intimidating. You know, when you're in an IEP meeting, you're sitting in the panel of at least 6 people.
Yeah, it's pretty deep.
You know, and I hate to say it, but the majority of the people are Caucasian. So you're just sitting there. You don't know what they're talking about and you're just going along with it. But I learned very early on how the ball gets dropped.
And that's what I'm doing actually my new role right now as a mental health and family advocate, is really trying to inform parents. Yeah. Give opportunities, resources, no matter who they are, just on how to be informed, but also the processes and things that assistance for them or their child could get or could receive. But also, hopefully, my goal is to really make it to where I say make it plain so they understand it. And take advantage of it. But I know, and you've done a lot of that, and I'm like, man, okay, but that's more so of a need for all those students who have any disability, need somebody to speak up for them. So that's definitely a dope thing to see. Parents you're not necessarily speaking just for your child though. I'm speaking on behalf of everybody, and which is super dope.
Well, and the other important thing I try to do with all of my clients is that it's not just about me advocating. I get it started, but it's each one teach one.
Yeah.
We all of the parents should at the end of the day learn how to advocate for their kids, because there's power in numbers.
Of course. 1
or 2 or 3 people, can't do it. We all have to learn the language. We all have to learn how to advocate, because that's when things really get done. And just lastly, I just want to say about that, parents, it's emotional. Stop going up to the schools and having conversations and phone calls, because what you guys say is their word against yours, right? There's nothing in writing. There's no proof of anything. It really makes me cringe when I hear parents say, oh, I talked to principal so-and-so yesterday.
It's the structure.
How do you prove that?
Right.
Start putting everything in writing. You got issues with the teachers. If there's an incident that happened, put it in writing. You got something you want to say to the principal, put it in writing. If it's not in writing, it didn't happen.
There you go. Put it in writing. I know you're a busy woman, so I'll make sure we get out of here, get things going. But before we go, as you know in sports, triple threat, dribble, pass, shoot. But I want to allegate that to just you in general. Something in life, something you go by, something you want to pass on to another young lady or young actor, and anything that you've been a part of. What are your triple threat? 3 things that you can hang your hat on, but that can hopefully inspire somebody else or inform somebody else right now.
Perseverance, tenacity, and accountability.
Perseverance, tenacity, and accountability.
Yeah. Dope. I tell my husband all the time, what's my favorite word? And it ain't what Too Short said. It is definitely accountability. Holding ourselves accountability, but holding others accountable.
Nice.
And I even try to, X, bless his heart. He's so nice. Like he will just let anybody tell him anything. And, he just goes with the flow. I'm like, no, don't go with the flow. If it's messing up your flow, if it's something that's not right, speak up for yourself.
Right.
Advocate for yourself. If you don't believe in something, don't just go with what somebody tells you.
Right.
Accountability is it really is my favorite word.
That's right. Accountability. Yeah. Where could your people, your friends, viewers, and new people who are trying to get in contact with you find you at? Shout out your information or your Instagram, something. Where can they find you?
Yes. For you? Yeah. So on IG, it's Neketia on TV. That's NEKET as in Tom, IA on TV. I don't really do YouTube that much. And on Facebook, it's facebook.com/Neketia Henry.
Neketia,
and you can find projects on YouTube.
She'll be everywhere. Y'all see her on TVs, on your shows, at your events, at your weddings.
Yes.
At your whatever, man. Definitely hit her up, but also tap into her if you need another person to help advocate for yourself or your child. Just tap in.
Tap in.
Thank you for
having me, JT.
Definitely dope. A lot of knowledge, you guys. Make sure you guys can find her. Also, hey, send me the music, because we're still trying to highlight it. And the rest of the month, I'm still celebrating women locally in town or across the world.
Let's
man.
Go.
Women's History Month, but we got a lot of powerful women in the 916. So everybody deserves some love, man. Neketia Henry,
Powerful.
Coach Roberts, Coach JT, we out.
Hey.
Peace.